I'm so delighted to be here today with Patricia Ryan Madson, the author of Improv Wisdom. Her book is a wonderful, refreshing, different take on life that takes the lessons of improv acting to apply to our real life and helps us to appreciate and understand that we are not in control of everything. We cannot plan and script our whole life and every conversation that we have. Everything by default is an improvisation, and so if that's the case, we might as well learn how to do it well. Thank you so much for joining me here today, Patricia.
Thank you, Kenli. I am very excited to be your guest.
To get us started, I am so grateful for having you join me here. Your book has been the biggest blessing to me this year. It came to me just in the time that I needed it. It got me out of a dark place that I had buried myself into. So I'm so grateful for it. So mostly I just want to thank you. I want to show you my appreciation. And I want to take the opportunity to go a little bit deeper, if possible, on some of the applications, because specifically right now, my biggest challenge is content creation. And I think I get very caught up in my own mind about the best way to do things. I'd love to hear your story about how you kind of connected these lessons to a more concrete project while still being authentic or true to the ideas of improvisation.
Well, sometimes some purpose that we have, some reason that we're here, takes a while to develop. And so that even though you have an idea for a project or a book or some kind of new idea that you want to spring forward, some things, some kinds of plants take time to grow. They don't just spring. The rose takes a while before it gets roots and finally the rose comes out. I feel really grateful to have found improvisation as a way of life, because that turned out to be my little niche in the world. I was teaching drama for over 30 years at Stanford, and a total of 50 years. I didn't get into teaching drama to become a life coach or to be telling people how they should live, but the more I played with improvisation and the rules that you use to improvise, the more I realized these are really helpful things in everyday life. That if we take a positive approach and say yes to life, it doesn't mean that everything we'll say yes to will turn out the way we want it, or will be even something we like, but it becomes a way of opening to the world that allows us to pay attention to what's going on right now and acknowledge, open to it.
A lot of people approach social media in terms of how do you script, how do you act, how do you pretend to be this person. And so I'm trying to find an alternative path, and I'm so grateful to you for showing me that possibility. And actually, I'm so grateful that you are one of the pretty much the first real interview that I'm doing, because it's forced me to go into this with an improv mindset, because obviously my natural impulse is, I have a big interview, let me prepare as much as possible. And how do I come up with the best questions? Because it's you, it forced me to say, okay, how do I not prepare?
The upside of that, the not preparing, is trusting reality, trusting that there's something greater than ourselves that will use us if we put ourselves in. We just have to show up at certain places, show up for the podcast, show up in your Instagram. Once you're there, reality will use your body and voice to do reality's work. When I look at the big picture of why are we here, I think we're each on this planet to do reality's work. Now, that sounds kind of, loosey-goosey, but I don't, and it's like, how do I know what reality's work is? Well, part of it is what comes my way, what people are in my life. I have certain family members, for example, and part of the reason I think I'm still alive is that I'm helping them. They need financial support, or they need me to call and say, Auntie wants you to know that she's looking at you and wants to help you out. So you got a new house you moved into, what do you need? The things that I need to do are who shows up in my life and my willingness to notice what is it that I have that I might be able to offer or give to help. I think the whole of life is trying to learn how to shift the attention away from yourself onto others in the world. And that's why social media is a challenge, because it's social media seems to always be about me. Everybody wants to look at me and what I can tell them that I think is good or whatever.
Yes and no.
How does you shift the attention? Yeah, how do you do that?
Yeah, I personally think that the people that are the most successful are the ones that are serving their community. And I've found that for myself, that's when I feel most empowered. When I'm, well, it's a mix. This is why I keep going back and forth, because on one hand, sometimes I'm empowered by serving and I tell a story. I'm willing to be very vulnerable because it's not about myself. It's how can I help you? How can I help someone that I know was in a tough situation, and how to inspire them? And so it helps me to share things. A lot of times people are like, wow, you're so vulnerable. It's like, because it's not about me. I don't care. I want to show you that it's possible to get out of there. But then on the flip side, I will say, well, actually, one of the times where I created the most and I shared the most was when I was obsessed with my own journey. JJ and I had separated for a year, and I knew that my mission was to figure out how to love myself. Everything I did was just, I was learning something and I was sharing it. I was practicing being alone and I would share it. And in that moment, it was all about me. It wasn't about showing off, but it was all about my journey. And so I'm not quite sure what the answer is, because a lot of times I feel like I'm do the most good by focusing on becoming the best version of myself. Maybe to connect to what I know about your story is the experiences that you did with the learning Japanese traditional arts. For example, technically that could have been spent, I don't know, doing community service or doing something for other people, but you did that for yourself.
Right.
And that gave you so much insight that helped you. Maybe I'm drawing too much.
No, I know what you're saying. Sometimes, because I spent over 50 years single, traveling the world and having all kinds of adventures. And I'm not sure that I even knew that my purpose was serving other people. But I've thought that reality needed me to go through some of these experiences to learn things that I needed to learn about life. It's quite possible that during those years of being alone and traveling, I was very much self-focused, very much on just following whatever my wonder wanted, going from the beaches of Thailand into the monasteries of Japan or whatever. I've had an amazing life. And when I try to put it in perspective now, I think reality, or the way things are, was moving through me, moving me around the world so that I would learn the things I needed to learn.
So maybe there are phases of self-focus, and then phases of sharing, because I think when you feel so good, you've learned something, you want to help other people get it too, just naturally.
I found that when I was on those trips too, while I would often come in. You're just such a sweetheart now. Can you get right over here? Okay. There were ways that I was helping people, that I would meet people in my travels, and we'd sit and have a conversation over a cup of tea, and something that I knew would come through me to help them. Because I think we're here to help each other, if not to do something like go help a children's aid society or something. But it's more like on an everyday basis. Every person I come in contact with is an opportunity to be kind, to say something that maybe can make their day a little brighter. Have a practice that when I'm out and shopping and things, I make sure that when a clerk checks me out, I notice their name. I always use their name. Hi, Gwendolyn, when do you get your break? You've been standing here quite a long time. Thank you for bagging my groceries. You're doing a good job. In fact, you're doing a good job is one of my favorite things to say to somebody. I can't tell you how much it seems to change things a little bit, make it human. Who am I coming in contact with physically in the grocery store or through emails? Sometimes I'll get an email from somebody and I need to say something kind back to them or help them out. Everything we do or not do can make a difference.
One of the core messages in the book is to trust yourself, to trust your mind and what comes out. And that was one of the biggest hurdles for me, because I think in the lowest parts of my life, I see that the reason why I was there is because I wasn't trusting myself. And sometimes it's built on things. I feel like I've messed up or I've made mistakes, and on top of it, there's these ideas that you need to be a certain way. And so what are some things that you've learned over the years to help prepare for that place, or to get you closer to trusting yourself? Because I don't think it comes naturally.
I understand. I think it's a real issue. I think one of the maxims that speaks to that is to be average.
Yeah.
I think part of
that's my favorite, I think.
Part of the problem we have when we don't trust ourselves is we have some kind of a high standard about how something ought to be, and we're not pretty enough, we're not smart enough, blah blah blah. Seriously, if you just do your life in your own average way, I can guarantee you it'll be fine. Yes, this podcast is a great example. We didn't plan or script this. We're just talking, and because we are, some real things are coming up. We're able to access ideas when we want to be real. It's not so much that I want to trust myself. I want to trust reality. I want to trust that there are forces, there are other people, there's a world that I'm in that is offering me opportunities to show up, do things, create stuff. It's not self-confidence that's going to get me out of this world. It's reality confidence. And reality confidence is the sense that it's going to finally work out all right if I show up and I don't demand too much of it.
What about for people who think, I don't want life to just be fine, I want to be great? For example,
well,
I want to do, is
good
that
luck
the flaw?
on that.
Okay.
My sense is good luck on that.
Yeah.
That if you, of course, we want it to be brilliant and I want everything, da 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 da. Finding the way to see the extraordinary in the ordinary. If you can learn to take your cup of tea and treasure it, notice all of the hands that made it, that brought it to you right now, and to actually taste the Earl Grey with milk and a little bit of sweetener, to have the full experience of that, you won't necessarily need to be sitting in the King of England's dining room. There's a way that when we, and why just be average is really good advice, because when we're not putting pressure on ourselves to do a great podcast, or to do a beautiful painting, or to do a perfect dinner, if we're just going to do sort of whatever is easiest for us, what's our natural, your natural, you'll discover is enough if you trust it. It's trusting.
I'd say more than just enough. You gave a great example in the book of the engineer, I think, that was in the meeting, instead of trying to come up with something smart to say, he just said the most obvious thing to him, and that was shocking to other people.
Right.
And so I think that that's where our genius comes.
What is obvious to you can be a revelation to other people. Each of us is unique. There's no way we can try to be unique. We are. We're a single fingerprint. And so why not let whatever is natural and easy to you come through? See how it works out. There's a lot less stress than when you're trying for something great.
Absolutely. That was one of the most healing maxims for me. I didn't aim to memorize all 13. I focused on 4, and they were don't prepare, start anywhere, be average, and make mistakes,
Make
please.
mistakes, yes.
So yes, those were the four that were the most powerful to me. Be average especially. I look back through life and the things that I've messed up the most on were the things that I had such high expectations of myself. My childhood memories are piano recitals where I just blanked, like I completely blacked out in the moment. I remember in college I would raise my hand and try to speak, and I just was trying so hard to say something, ask an interesting question, ask an impressive question, that I would forget the English language entirely. And so be average was very liberating for me to let go of those expectations and to be, and I think that's what's been key to taking action, because all that attempt to be something else stopped me from even doing anything. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
Did we?
Oh, we didn't show it.
Okay, Improv Wisdom, don't prepare, just show up. And it's in 9 languages.
That's amazing.
So it's in Japanese for your
Is
Japanese.
it in Spanish?
In Spanish, yes,
Oh,
indeed.
fantastic. Okay, because most of my following is in Spanish, or Spanish speaking.
Oh,
So
really? Well,
Yeah.
There's a website, the title of the book, improvwisdom.com, and it has links to where all the books are found and whatnot.
How would you prepare now for giving a presentation? Because I think there's a deep feeling that if you have a big talk or a big thing, you have to do something, right? You
have to
can't
do
just
something, of course, yeah.
not. It would be irresponsible. So what's the way to prepare yourself, maybe, without preparing the talk?
Well, don't prepare, just show up is a lie, because you can't not prepare. I mean, your mind won't let you not prepare, just show up. That's crazy. Probably what you want to do to get ready for what it is make sure you've got your favorite top on and that your hair's okay. That's something you can do something about. What you want to do is prepare all you like. Write the speech out, make a list, do a bullet point, do a PowerPoint. But when the event comes, walk there without any notes. Show up at the dais or in front of your computer on your Zoom screen. Show up and then put your full attention onto the people that are listening, to who's there, and seeing if you can't share something that is normal and human. I do have some suggestions in the book about, instead of writing out your speech and memorizing it, ask yourself some questions. You might have a couple of notes that say, when did you start doing your blog? Or what is the most fun thing about being married? Or something that's a prompting question. Because we can all answer a question. And so if instead of writing statements, and that's actually the problem with most politicians, they have written out their script and they're no longer humans. They're reciting the script of how it should be when I'm elected, blah, blah, blah. We long to be in the room with other humans. And the way to do that is to ask questions and answer them. And shift your attention off from what I've got to say onto what can I do for you today? Or how can something that I know be of useful in your purpose?
And what are the benefits, would you say, of that? Because, I mean, there's a lot of good things to do in this world, but I think having worked with marketing for a long time, I recognize that there's a lot of nice things we know we should do, like we should exercise, we should do this, but people don't do them unless they know that they'll get something for doing that. So you say that people want to be with other humans, they want this. Why? Or what is the benefit of taking this approach?
That's part of why we're here. We're on this planet to be in relationship with each other. As families, as daughters and sons, as teachers, as entrepreneurs. We're all here to do things with and for others. And I think we're in a kind of a hard time now because COVID, which threw everything up in the air in 2020, and we stopped leaving the house to go into rooms with other people. But we need other people, and they need us. So social media in its media phase will never replace that. But maybe social media can lead us to go be in a room with someone, or if you need to go to the gym and not only get your workout, we did this morning, but also talk to somebody there. There was a little old lady who says, I'm 86 years old and I can't stand very long. And I said, I can't either. I'm 83 years old.
You're 83? Oh,
83.
goodness. You look fantastic. That's all the gratitude.
I do think I'm deeply fortunate because to have a husband who also says thank you to me 50 to 100 times a day that keeps it going, boy.
Was that natural for you? Do you think you're both inclined to that, or is that something that you've built?
About 30 years ago, we studied something called Nikon. I mention it in the book in Wake Up to the Gifts, and it's in the chapter about that I went to Japan and I sat in a cubicle, and my job was to make a list of what I'd received from other people,
Yeah.
what I'd given to them, and the trouble and bother I caused them. That's not a question we ask or answer very often. What trouble am I causing my
No.
husband? But if you are honest and if you think about it, we do. Of course, we know a lot about the trouble they cause us because the mind knows those things. But the other perspective, so part of what improvising invites you to do is shift the attention from what's wrong with them to how can I be helpful and what am I doing that might be causing them trouble. And if I discover what it is, I'm in a position that I could probably change it.
Do you feel ever, and I think this goes back to the idea of the serving others, because I feel like it's always been my challenge that I always wanted to put others first. And I wanted, I'd say, naturally think of how I was wrong and how I was hurting. It's been a process for me to see my own value, to see the benefits of myself. I've actually worked to get away from that a little bit, to see things on the other hand. Is that something you've felt?
I understand what you're saying, but it may be that the process that you've been going through to look at your own self-worth is part of the process. I hope you'll circle back to noticing what we're receiving from others, because I think there's sometimes when we think we're serving others, that's still coming from a sort of egocentric point of view. I think the desirable end is sort of to disappear into reality, doing reality's work, where it's not about me, and it's not about being some beneficiary of others, giving to others, but I'm just here to show up to do what comes my way, to do reality's work. So I'm not going out of my way to try to help the starving kids, but I'm noticing who's in my world, and is there something I can do or give that's going to be helpful? That's at 83, that's kind of what my life is right now. I'm teaching a little bit. But mainly, I'm open to getting an invitation to do a podcast because I love talking to you and then studying your podcast to see what you're up to.
I appreciate that. I felt very grateful, and I could feel your say yes energy and in all of our correspondence that after I reached out to you, you wanted to know about me as well, and that I really felt that. I think you made a fantastic point that kind of serving others definitely came from an ego first place. So what are some things that you've learned over the year to work on letting go of the ego? Well,
first part is noticing that it's when my mind is going, when I'm all about me, which is a lot of the time. Taking a breath, breathing helps, and seeing if there's a way that I can shift that, because I realize that the longer I live and the older I get, I'm still on the planet because there must be something reality wants me to do. Seriously, I'm never quite sure what that is. Having it my own way, I just take naps with my cat. That's my idea of heaven. But let's see, the question I'm trying to answer is how do you work on that? Well, I think recognizing that it is natural for me to be egocentric, but then that's okay. That's how humans are. Then I'll say, so what needs to be done and I look around, and what needs to be done would be to unload the dishwasher. I've got some emails now that I've got to send back to an attorney. That doing reality's work and doing it as kindly as possible. I don't know that I ever really succeed in getting rid of that, of the ego. And so the other thing is to kind of come to be okay with it. Of course, it's about me. And now what needs to be done.
I like this idea of doing reality's work. I've never heard that phrase. I think it's something now more popular is trusting the universe and the universe giving you things, or God, depending on your phrasing. How do you think the word reality or this understanding of reality changes that? And I imagine it's intentional.
Absolutely. It's that I trust that sort of the way things have happened in my life. I have examples of reality giving me stuff to do, reality taking care of me when I needed. It's like things have a way of working out. But I do believe that maybe one of the most profound things that I've learned in life is that I'm here to do reality's work. And it's not just to feel a certain way or be a certain way, but what is reality's work? Well, it's whatever is, first of all, obvious. The things around me that I get to take care of, the clothing that I have that I want to wash and take care of, the house and the refrigerator that needs cleaning and the groceries that need buying. That somehow ordinary life offers me a lot of things that needs to be done, and I get to do them. And then sometimes some higher calling, when I got to teach at Stanford, my students would come to me for advice, and that the rules of improv seemed to be helping. And so I was able, reality seemed to want me to write this book, and it's a good idea. Published 2005. It's been a long time ago, 20 years ago. It's now in 9 languages, and just recently been put into Tibetan. I think I already said that.
No, you didn't. That's very exciting.
But I do believe that there's kind of something greater than ourselves, but that I'm a part of it. There's this vast, wonderful fabric of life that includes the people I know and the things that are going on. It includes the politics as well as the world of social media and entrepreneurship.
Have you always felt that way, though? Because I think that what you're saying is a complete shift from what I think a lot of us feel like it's up to us to create, like we have to push hard to become this thing, we have to create it. But in a way, you are in a place of trust, of trusting that you will be guided to whatever your mission is.
Exactly, yes.
And did you have a transformation in that? Where did that come from?
Well, I think I've been working under that assumption for at least the last 30 years. And it is different than thinking, well, I'm here to kind of come up with ideas that are going to make the planet better or something like that. What that thought lacks is the awareness of the incredible web and interdependence of it all. And that's why noticing what we're receiving from others means seeing that you and I couldn't be having this conversation if somebody hadn't invented the Riverside program. And if someone right now is probably in a room somewhere where they're dealing with the electrical system that is making Tokyo run right now, that all of these other people that are doing their work, their little bit of reality's work, makes our moment possible. And it may be that you're here, that one of your callings is to create some opportunities for other people, that you're part of the web too. But I think it's important to keep seeing that we're part of the web, we're not the web.
Ooh, so yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah. It's something I've been aware of, but it's so hard to let go of trying to work hard towards a goal or something and rather trusting. I've shared a little bit with you that I do believe that it is my calling to share some of these messages, these things that I've learned with people,
Great.
But I would like to do it not from a egocentric perspective, to be more accepting of my mission. What do you have any advice for me on the approach to that?
It's just simpler. Just do what you think needs to be done. You're inside that now. You're adding another layer to try to get your ego out of the picture so that you can just do reality's work and then you disappear. No, that's all right. Hang in there. You're doing
Okay, doing it.
Trust
just
that.
stepping,
Trust
trusting. Oh man, I'm very appreciative. Well, I want to go on forever. If I can ask one last question. You said that you have a lot of great marriage advice.
So the first is paying attention. And I would say that in a marriage, for example, paying attention to your partner rather than just focusing on what I need or what I feel or how I'm doing, et cetera, and how he's relating to that. If we learn to shift our attention toward the person that we've married, and instead of it being about me all the time, what if it's not about you? I think we come together with a partner. I think reality, God, or somebody puts us together with a partner so that we both can accomplish the things that reality wants each of us to do in the world.
I feel exactly the same. Yeah.
Right. And I'm here basically to see what I can do to help my husband, Ron, accomplish the things that he's here to do. And he's doing the same thing for me, which is really kind of amazing.
But that's only possible when you're paying attention and present with them and what they need versus perhaps what's in your mind about what you need or what you think they need.
And he's not paying attention to me now. Well, that's not my job is to shift my attention off of myself. And that's a lifelong learning, because when I got married, I certainly didn't think that was my job, to it not be about me. Of course it was about me. It's always about me. But then I need blah, blah, blah. So attention. And then once we see once we notice what our partner's doing, we can accept that. Acceptance doesn't mean liking, but it means not fighting it or wishing they were a different way. Gosh, I wish he would stop talking so much, or I wish blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Accepting them as they are. And then the third of the 4 A's is appreciation. Gratitude isn't just for stuff we like and that's pleasing to us. We often think a gratitude list is, what am I grateful for? I have a warm bed, and I have a happy house, and I have cold water. But what about all of those things that are supporting me right now that I'm not crazy about? The magic words in a marriage are thank you. Do you know that my husband and I both have this practice, and we probably say thank you to the other person up to 100 to 200 times a day. And so it's not about special gifts. Every morning he peels an orange for me and puts it next to where we eat.
That's so sweet.
And every morning I say, thank you, Ron. I really appreciate your peeling this. And you even segmented it for me. Thanks a lot. The ordinary things that he does, he puts the toilet seat down.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ron. I really appreciate your remembering that. So we're constantly noticing what the other person's doing and thanking them for it every day. And I want to tell you, a life filled with thank yous is a really healthy life. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That is an underlying value for us as well. That's something that I often think is the reason for our happiness, or one of the core reasons, is just we thank each other all the time for everything. And I think it's not just saying it, it's also being present. Like, really, I love for the tiniest thing to look him in the eye and be like, thank you so much for doing that. I had a beautiful moment. He came home after working out early to make sure that I had everything I needed for this call, and I just felt so grateful. And I think the more grateful you are, the more it just builds up the whole relationship in general. I remember there was a point where I was feeling a bit negative in our relationship a few years back, and only seeing the negatives in what he was doing. And I made it a choice to look for one thing that I felt grateful for him every day. And that started the whole chain. I started to see millions of things to be grateful for. Right. And
If you-
and it changes your attitude to everything that they do from there on.
The important thing to remember is that if you take this value and this practice and see how many times you can notice something that he's doing that you benefit from and thank him for it, it starts to create a way of being in life with him. Gratitude isn't only about what I like, but it's gosh, the stuff he's doing right now. Did he go off to work out, or did he go off to work? What did he go off to do this morning?
He went to work out this morning, and he came back quickly to make sure I was set up before going off to work. So,
Right.
I felt.
So his going to work out is a way in which he's keeping himself strong and fit to take care of you and your life and whatnot.
Whereas you could, on the other hand, be like, oh, you're spending time away from me, for example, or you could see the negatives of that. But if you have that attitude of gratitude, like you're talking about, you can see how it's an act of love, and you look through that lens, right? How long have you been with your partner?
36 years.
Wow. That is very beautiful.
But you promise you'll get back in touch with me after a year of marriage and see how it's going. I'd love to talk to you again.
I would as well. It's a dream of mine. I would love to be able to be with you in person to make some tea. I just got this matcha set. I was in Kyoto this weekend, and I've set up, we're going to, it's a surprise for JJ, but we're going to the Omoto monthly gathering next month. And
in Ayabe or in
Kameoka.
Kameoka. Oh,
which one were you in?
Kameoka. I spent 8 years coming to Kameoka in June for the month. They had a traditional Japanese arts summer school. It went on for about 15 years, and then the leadership changed, and they stopped doing it. I was one of the very fortunate people to get to go there every year and sit in the tea room and make mistakes. I do love Japanese culture, and I appreciate so much what I've learned from being in that culture.
I hope that one day that we can get together and have tea, and thank you again so much for your time. This was such a blessing to be able to connect with you.
A great pleasure for me. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.